Tonight, on this beautiful day of September 5th, 2025, let's talk about love. Let's talk about relationships. Let's talk about pain. For the longest time, I, like many of you, was a staunch believer in monogamy. The idea of one true love, a singular soulmate, was the ultimate dream. It's the story we are told in movies, the promise we hear in wedding vows, and the ideal we chase with every fiber of our being. This was my truth. I believed that finding the one meant closing your heart to all others, building a fortress around your relationship where only two people could reside. It was a beautiful, romantic notion, a sacred pact of exclusivity that I thought was the only path to genuine commitment and happiness. My world was built on this foundation. I was in a long-term committed monogamous relationship. I poured my everything into it, my time, my dreams, my vulnerabilities. I believed we were creating a future together, a singular narrative starring just the two of us. The pain, therefore, was unimaginable when I discovered the existence of a third party. It wasn't just a crack in our foundation, it was a demolition. The betrayal felt like 1,000 knives, each one twisting deeper with every lie I uncovered. The person I trusted with my entire heart had shared a part of that sacred space with someone else, without my knowledge, without my consent. How do you reconcile this? How do you process the fact that the person who promised you forever was simultaneously building a separate world with another? The pain of a third party in a monogamous setup is uniquely devastating because it shatters the very core of your agreement. It's not just about the physical act. It is the deception, the stolen moments, the whispered secrets. You start questioning everything. Was any of it real? Was I not enough? The ghost of the other person haunts your memories, turning what was once beautiful into a landscape of deceit. Moving on felt impossible because the betrayal tainted not just the relationship, but my own sense of self-worth. This heartbreak forced me to sit down and have a bottom-line conversation with myself. What is loyalty? What is honesty? And is monogamy the only way to achieve them? The pain was a catalyst, pushing me to question the very structures I had held so dear. I realized that my ex-girlfriend's actions weren't necessarily a rejection of me, but perhaps a rebellion against a system that didn't work for her. A system she was too afraid to confront honestly. The problem wasn't her desire for another person. The problem was the lie. It was the violation of our agreed-upon monogamous contract, a contract I began to wonder if we were ever truly aligned on. In the rubble of my broken heart, I started exploring. I read, I listened, and I opened my mind to concepts that were once alien to me. This is where I encountered polyamory, or what is often discussed in the context of polygamy. It's not about cheating. It's not a free-for-all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Ethical non-monogamy, in its various forms, is built on a radical foundation of honesty, communication, and consent. It's a relationship structure where partners openly and honestly agree that they can have more than one romantic or sexual partner. It's about acknowledging that a person can love and connect with multiple people without diminishing the love they have for others. The key difference that struck me was transparency. Where my monogamous relationship was destroyed by secrets, polygamous and polyamorous relationships thrive on openness. Every person involved is aware of the others and consents to the arrangement. This requires an incredible level of emotional maturity, communication, and respect. There are rules, there are boundaries, and there are endless conversations. Who can you date? How much time do you spend with each partner? How are emotions and jealousies managed? It is a conscious, deliberate, and negotiated way of loving that demands more honesty, not less. It is a far cry from the clandestine affair that broke my heart. My personal journey led me to a new relationship with a wonderful person who happens to be bisexual. Early on, we had the difficult, honest conversations I never had before. She was open about her capacity to love more than one person, and I was open about my trauma from being cheated on. Instead of forcing ourselves into a box that might not fit, we explored the idea of an open relationship. We decided that if one of us were to develop feelings for someone else, we would talk about it. We would meet the person. We would ensure everyone felt safe, respected, and valued. It was terrifying at first, but it was also incredibly liberating. This new dynamic, this version of polygamy, became my safe space. It removed the fear of the unknown other. There were no secrets lurking in the shadows because we brought everything into the light. If my partner felt a connection with someone else, I would know. I would be part of the conversation. The threat of a third party vanished, because there were no longer parties, only people in a consensual and honest dynamic. This structure, for me, became a shield. It protected my peace, because it was built on the one thing my last relationship lacked: absolute, unflinching honesty. It was a conscious choice, not an assumption. This concept of multiple partners is not a new or radical invention. It's as old as human civilization itself. We often view monogamy as the default, the universal standard, but history and culture tell a different story. Look at many Muslim cultures where polygyny, one man having multiple wives, is permissible under specific conditions. Sharia law outlines clear rules for this. A man can marry up to 4 wives, but only if he can treat them all with absolute fairness and justice, financially, emotionally, and physically. The emphasis is on equity and responsibility, a far cry from the Western caricature of a man simply collecting wives. It is a structured system with deep cultural and religious roots. On the other side of the historical spectrum, we see how the rigid enforcement of monogamy can lead to chaos. Take the infamous King Henry VIII of England. His desperate desire for a male heir and his infatuation with Anne Boleyn collided with the Catholic Church's strict monogamous doctrine, which forbade divorce. What was the result? He broke away from an entire religious institution, executed his wives, and plunged his country into decades of religious and political turmoil. His story is a powerful, albeit extreme, example of what can happen when human desire is forced into a structure that no longer serves it, leading to deception, betrayal, and violence. These examples show that relationship structures are often shaped by culture, religion, and politics, not just by a universal law of love. What works for one society may not work for another. In many ancient societies, polygamy was a practical arrangement for creating alliances, ensuring lineage, and managing resources. The modern, romantic ideal of monogamy is a relatively recent phenomenon in the grand sweep of human history. It gained prominence as societal structures shifted towards nuclear families and private property. Realizing this helped me deconstruct the idea that monogamy was inherently superior or more natural. Therefore, my exploration into polygamy wasn't just a personal reaction to pain, it was also an intellectual awakening. It made me see that the way we love is a choice, influenced by the stories we are told and the rules we are given. By clinging to one single model of love, we might be setting ourselves up for failure, especially if our authentic selves don't fit neatly into that box. History teaches us that there is no one right way to form a family or a partnership. There are simply different ways, each with its own set of rules, challenges, and potential for happiness or heartbreak. Why is it so much harder to move on from being cheated on in a monogamous relationship? I've thought about this a lot. I believe it's because the betrayal feels like a fundamental negation of your reality. Your brain fights your heart. The brain holds on to the promise of exclusivity, the rule that says you and me, only. When that rule is broken, your entire worldview is invalidated. The heart, meanwhile, still feels the love and the connection, creating a painful cognitive dissonance. You are mourning not just the person, but the death of the dream, the collapse of the entire structure you believed in. It's a profound identity crisis. In my new relationship, this conflict between brain and heart is resolved. My brain knows the rules. We are ethically non-monogamous. My heart is free to love my partner deeply, secure in the knowledge that there will be no hidden betrayals. The possibility of other partners is not a threat, it is an acknowledged part of our agreement. This alignment of mind and heart is the essence of peace. It allows for healing, because there is no lie to uncover, no secret to dread. The emotional labor shifts from policing your partner to nurturing your connection and communicating your needs and boundaries. The greatest lesson I have learned is the importance of protecting your peace. And peace is not found in controlling another person's heart or desires. Peace is found in radical honesty and consent. It is found in building a relationship where you don't have to live in fear of what you don't know. Whether you choose monogamy or polygamy, the foundation must be the same: transparency, respect, and continuous open dialogue. The structure itself is less important than the integrity with which you live within it. A dishonest monogamous relationship is far more damaging than an honest polygamous one. And so, I leave you with this challenge. Let us stop forcing ourselves and our partners into predefined boxes. Let us instead have the brave, uncomfortable conversations about what we truly want and need. True love, I believe, is not about ownership. It is not about possession. It is about respecting another person's freedom while building a shared life based on trust. Do not be afraid to question what you have been taught. If monogamy works for you and fills your heart with joy and security, that is beautiful. But if it doesn't, know that there are other ways to love, other ways to be faithful. The most important commitment you can make is to be true to yourself and honest with the people you love. Protect your peace. Make no apologies. Good night.